Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin tonight with a question that may reveal more about your life than anything else I could ask you. Have you ever wondered why you keep starting but never finishing? Why you write the goal, make the promise, buy the planner, join the challenge, only to find yourself 2 weeks later right back where you started? Now, don't be too hard on yourself. That's not just your story. That's the human story. And for years, I lived that same story myself. You know how it goes. We start excited. Oh, we're fired up. We say, this time it's different. New week, new month, new year, doesn't matter, we're ready. And then somewhere along the way, quietly, gently, almost invisibly, the fire fades. Not because you didn't want it, not because you lacked desire, but because desire alone has never been enough to build a lasting life. And that's what I want to talk to you about tonight, because there's a truth about consistency, a truth nobody wants to tell you, because it's not glamorous, it's not dramatic, and it doesn't make for exciting headlines. But it will change your life if you understand it. The truth is this: your future is being shaped far more by the small choices you repeat than the big dreams you write down. I repeat, your daily choices are deciding your destiny faster than your most ambitious goals. See, most people think inconsistency is a problem of effort. If I just pushed harder, if I just had more motivation, more energy, more willpower. But my friends, inconsistency is not a problem of effort. It's a problem of philosophy. Because your philosophy, what you believe about work, about time, about discipline, about yourself, that philosophy is the engine that drives everything else. And if the engine is weak, the vehicle doesn't move, no matter how hard you press the pedal. Tonight, I want to give you the truth. Not the inspirational version, not the trendy version, the real version. The version I discovered the hard way, the version that took me from broke, embarrassed, and frustrated to building a life I could be proud of. A life that didn't depend on motivation, but on maturity. Not on luck, but on discipline. Not on fantasy, but on philosophy. And here's the promise I'll make to you before we begin. Once you understand the truth about consistency, what it really is, where it really begins, why it really fails, and how it really transforms your life, your results will never be the same again. Not next month, not next year, today. Because change doesn't start when life shifts. Change starts when you shift. So let's begin this journey together. Let's uncover the truth most people never hear and even fewer ever apply. Because the moment you grasp it, the moment you accept it, the moment you live it, your life will begin to change in ways you cannot imagine. Now, let's take a deeper step into this subject, because one of the most important questions you and I must answer is, why is consistency so hard? Why does it feel like such a struggle to do the things we know we should be doing? And the answer, my friends, is not complicated, but it is uncomfortable. Consistency isn't difficult because the actions are hard. Oh no. Most of the actions required for success are actually very easy. Walking 20 minutes easy. Saving a little money easy. Reading 10 pages of a good book easy. Making that call, having that conversation, writing in that journal easy. Almost everything that builds a life of extraordinary success is simple and easy to do. So why don't we do them? Because while the actions are easy, the results are invisible. And that's the first great enemy of consistency. Invisible progress. You take that walk today, and nothing seems different. You eat the apple instead of the donut, and nothing changes on the scale. You read the chapter, and nobody claps for you. You save a few dollars, and you're still broke. You start the new habit, and your life looks exactly the same tomorrow morning. And the human mind has a terrible relationship with invisible progress. See, your mind has no problem noticing the tiger in the bushes. Your mind has no problem reacting to emergencies, deadlines, pressure. But your mind is terrible at noticing the slow, quiet, gentle changes that accumulate over weeks, months, and years. The mind wants fireworks, not seeds. It wants explosion, not evolution. And that leads to the second great enemy of consistency. The world we live in a world of instant everything. Instant entertainment, instant communication, instant news, instant distraction, and now even instant success stories. You open your phone and in 10 seconds you can watch a highlight reel of someone else's life. And your brain sees only the results, never the roots. Only the outcome, never the effort. Only the fruit, never the years of invisible growth. So now you're trying to build your life with disciplines that take weeks or months to reveal themselves while living in a world that rewards you in seconds. No wonder consistency feels like such a struggle. You are trying to develop ancient virtues in a modern environment that does not support them. And here's the third reason consistency is so hard. Your desire is fighting your philosophy. Your desire wants the body, wants the money, wants the freedom, wants the success. But your philosophy, your beliefs, your habits, your patterns may still want comfort, may still want ease, may still want what feels good today instead of what builds good tomorrow. And when desire and philosophy collide, guess which one wins? Philosophy. Every time. See, when a person tells me they can't stay consistent, what they're really saying is not, I don't have discipline. What they're really saying is, my philosophy hasn't caught up to my dreams. They want the harvest without first embracing the season. They want the reward without embracing the routine. But the moment you understand this, something powerful happens. You stop blaming your willpower, you stop attacking your motivation, and you begin fixing the root instead of fighting the fruit. You begin realizing that consistency isn't a battle of effort, it's a battle of understanding. The moment you understand why it's hard, it becomes easier. The moment you understand the philosophy behind it, the discipline becomes natural. And once you see this truth, once you accept it, consistency stops being a mystery and it starts becoming a decision. Now, once we understand why consistency feels so difficult, we arrive at one of the most important truths of the entire journey, the quiet danger that destroys more futures than failure ever will. I call it the great enemy of achievement, small errors in judgment. You see, failure almost never shows up as one dramatic event. People imagine that one day they'll make one terrible choice and suddenly their life collapses. But that's not how it happens. That's not how it happens in your health, in your finances, in your relationships, or in your career. Failure is far more deceptive than that. Failure shows up quietly. It shows up slowly. It shows up disguised as comfort, wrapped in the blanket of no big deal. Let me give you an example. If you drink a cola today instead of eating an apple, what happens? Nothing. You don't gain 10 pounds on the spot. Your heart doesn't shut down. Your health doesn't collapse right there in the kitchen. You drink the cola and you feel fine. In fact, it might even feel good. So your mind tells you, see, no harm done. You skip your walk today. What happens? Nothing. You don't suddenly lose your energy or your vitality. You don't collapse on the couch. You skip the walk and life continues like usual. You decide not to read today. You put the book down. What happens? Nothing. Your income doesn't drop. Your career doesn't fall apart. You don't suddenly become uninformed or unprepared. And that, my friends, is the danger. Because if a wrong choice hurt immediately, we'd never repeat it. If skipping the walk today made you gain 5 pounds tomorrow, oh, you'd be out there walking every morning, rain or shine. But because nothing dramatic happens today or tomorrow or even next week, we tell ourselves a lie. This one time won't matter. But let me show you the formula of disaster. A small error in judgment, repeated every day, leads to a major failure in time. That cola doesn't hurt you today, but repeat it every day, and 5 years from now you're sitting in the doctor's office wondering how things got so bad. That skipped walk doesn't matter today. But repeat it for a few years and you'll start losing the vitality that only consistent movement can give. That ignored book won't show consequences tomorrow. But keep neglecting your mind for a decade, and suddenly you find yourself behind in opportunity, behind in skill, behind in income. But it didn't start with catastrophe. It started with comfort. That is the deception of the small error. It's never the first one that ruins you. It's the repetition. The same formula applies to your finances. Spend everything you make this month, nothing happens. Spend everything again next month, still fine. But spend everything for 10 years, and you're trapped in a life you didn't intend to build. And you look around and say, how did I get here? I'll tell you slowly, quietly. One small error at a time. And this is what most people never learn. It is not the big mistakes that rob your future. It is the small ones you repeat without noticing. This is why consistency matters so much. Because every day you're making deposits or withdrawals from your future. Every day you're choosing a direction forward or backward, closer to your dreams or further away. There is no neutral. There is no standing still. Every small choice is shaping you into someone a little better or a little worse. And here's the final truth about small errors. They don't just change your results, they change your philosophy. Every time you repeat an error in judgment, you strengthen the belief that it's okay, that it doesn't matter, that your future will somehow take care of itself. And that philosophy left alone creates a lifestyle of struggle, a lifestyle of regret, a lifestyle that was never meant for a person of discipline and potential. So tonight, I want you to understand this deeply. The small errors matter because they don't just steal your progress, they steal your identity. Now that we've uncovered the danger of small errors in judgment, let's flip the coin over and discover the brilliant side, the side most people never truly appreciate until it begins to change their life. Because if small errors can destroy a future, then small disciplines can create one. In fact, the formula is identical. The direction is simply reversed. Small errors in judgment repeated daily lead to failure. But small disciplines practiced daily lead to success, massive success. And here's the wonderful thing about small disciplines. They are just as easy to do as they are easy to neglect. That's the magic of them. That's their power. The same simplicity that destroys a life when used incorrectly will build a remarkable life when used wisely. Let's go back to the apple. You eat the apple today instead of the donut. What happens? Nothing visible. You don't lose 10 pounds. You don't feel like a new person. But something invisible has begun. A message has been sent. A signal has been broadcast from your actions to your identity. Today, I chose life. Today, I chose discipline. Today, I chose the version of myself I wish to become. And that is the beginning of transformation. You take a 20-minute walk, nothing visible. You read 10 pages of a good book, nothing visible. You save a few dollars, nothing visible. But something is happening. Something profound. Something beneath the surface that most people never see because most people never give it enough time to grow roots. And the roots are where the transformation begins. Every time you practice a small discipline, you're not just completing a task, you're building a person. You're proving to yourself, quietly and privately, that you are capable of honoring your word. You are capable of saying, I will, and following through. That is self-respect. And self-respect is the soil where success grows. And let me tell you something important. Before success changes your life, it must change you. Before the results show up in your bank account, they show up in your character. Before they appear in your body, they appear in your decisions. Before they appear in your career, they appear in your habits. This is why small disciplines matter so deeply. Because they don't just accumulate, they compound. They don't just add, they multiply. One good decision makes the next good decision easier. One small discipline strengthens the muscle that performs the next discipline. And before you know it, you're not forcing yourself to be consistent, you're simply becoming the person who is consistent. That's the invisible transformation. It's like learning a language. The first few words don't change your life. The first few sentences don't impress anybody. But every day, you add a little more and a little more, and then one day, something clicks. Your mind shifts. You think differently. You see differently. You respond differently. You have become someone new. And here's the greatest part of small disciplines. Success cannot stay away from a person who practices them. Success is like a magnet, drawn to character, attracted to discipline. When you become powerful on the inside, life begins to open its doors on the outside. So the next time you take a walk, or read your pages, or save your dollars, or choose the apple, don't look in the mirror for the reward. Look inside. That's where the miracle is happening. That's where the invisible transformation is unfolding. That's where the roots are growing. And one day the fruit will be undeniable. Now that we've talked about the invisible transformation that small disciplines begin, let me give you one of the clearest illustrations of how this process truly works. Because if you understand the nature of compounding, you'll never be confused by slow beginnings again. And you'll never quit on day 20 when day 31 is waiting just around the corner. Let me tell you the old story of the penny. You've probably heard it before, but tonight I want you to feel it, not just understand it. Imagine I offer you a choice. $1 million in cash right now, or 1 penny that doubles every day for 31 days. Most people take the million. It feels certain. It feels safe. It feels reasonable. But let's walk through the penny. Day 1, 1 cent. Day 2, 2 cents. Day 3, 4 cents. Not very impressive, right? On day 10, you have $5.12. On day 15, $163. Still no fireworks. Still no applause. By day 20, you have $5,242. Now, that's finally starting to look like something, but it's still not close to $1 million. At this point, most people who chose the penny would be frustrated, discouraged, maybe even embarrassed. They'd be thinking, I should have taken the $1 million. I made a terrible mistake. But watch what happens next. Day 21, $10,485. Day 24, $83,886. Day 27, $671,088. Day 29, $2.6 million. Day 35.3 million. And on day 31, $10,737,418. $10 million. From a penny, but only after the compounding kicks into visible motion. Now here's the lesson, and I want you to hear this clearly. Most people quit on day 20. They quit when the number looks too small, when the progress seems too slow, when the results don't match the effort. They say this isn't working, but the reality is they weren't failing. They were simply in the part of the journey where the miracle hadn't shown itself yet. The compound effect works like this in every part of your life. In your health, the first 20 days show almost nothing. In your finances, the first 20 deposits feel useless. In your reading habit, the first 20 books hardly change your income. In your relationships, the first 20 days of effort feel unnoticed. But day 31 is coming. You see, there is always a tipping point, a moment where the invisible becomes visible, a moment where the roots finally push up through the soil, a moment where your habits, your disciplines, your decisions begin to generate a return that feels miraculous, though it is not a miracle at all. It is simply the reward for staying faithful long enough. That's why the compound effect is so powerful. It doesn't just add, it multiplies. It doesn't just reward, it transforms. And it does so in a way that feels sudden, though it was building quietly for months or years. That's the truth about discipline. It won't reward you on day 1. It won't reward you on day 7. It might not even reward you on day 20. But if you stay the course, if you keep showing up, if you refuse to quit while the magic is still underground, it will reward you beyond anything you can imagine. So the real question is not whether the compound effect works. It works for everyone. The question is whether you will stay long enough to see it. Remember this phrase. The results are always late, but never missing. They arrive the moment you've become the person capable of receiving them. Now, let me share with you one of my favorite stories, one I've told for decades, because it captures the essence of consistency better than almost any other example I've ever found. It's the story of the Chinese bamboo tree. The Chinese bamboo tree is a remarkable plant. You take the seed, plant it in the ground, water it, fertilize it, care for it, and what happens the first year? Nothing. Not a sprout, not a leaf, not a bump in the soil, just dirt. But you keep watering it anyway. Year 2, you water, you fertilize, you nurture the ground. And again, nothing. 2 full years of effort and not a single visible sign of progress. Most people would call that failure. Most people would say, this seed is dead, it's not working, I'm wasting my time. But the wise gardener keeps watering. Year 3, same routine, same effort, same hope, and still nothing visible. Now, most people quit long before year 3. 3 years with no result, that's too much for the average philosophy. But the gardener continues. Year 4, more watering, more fertilizer, more patience. And would you believe it? Still nothing breaks through the surface. 4 years. 4 years of invisible progress. 4 years of daily discipline with no applause, no reward, no sign of change. And then, in the 5th year, a miracle. In just 6 weeks, the bamboo tree shoots up 90 feet into the air. 90 feet, a skyscraper in your backyard. And the world looks at that bamboo and says, wow, look how fast it grew. But you and I know better. It didn't grow 90 feet in 6 weeks. It grew 90 feet in 5 years. All that time, under the soil, invisible to the eye, the roots were spreading, strengthening, preparing, getting ready to hold and sustain that enormous growth. And here's the lesson. Most of your growth is happening where no one can see it. Your habits are taking root right now. Your discipline is building internal strength. Your decisions are forming character. And just because no one claps, just because the scale doesn't change, just because the bank account stays the same, just because the world can't see it, doesn't mean nothing is happening. The roots must come first. They must grow deep, wide, strong before the tree can rise tall. That's why consistency feels thankless in the beginning. That's why your first months of discipline feel unrewarded. You are building roots. And roots are invisible, but roots are essential. Without them, the tree would shoot up and collapse under its own weight. Your consistency is building those roots. Every walk you take, every chapter you read, every dollar you save, every choice you make that honors your future self, that's root work, quiet work, unseen work, work that prepares you to handle the harvest when the harvest arrives. The tragedy, the heartbreak is that most people stop watering in year 3 or year 2 or even year 4. They say, I've been trying, I've been working, I've been disciplined, and I see nothing. And they walk away. Little do they know that the miracle was coming 6 months later, or 3 months later, or next week. Remember this. It wasn't the seed that failed. It was the gardener who stopped watering. Success, my friends, is less about genius and more about persistence, less about speed and more about patience, less about the visible moments and more about the invisible seasons. So the next time you feel discouraged, the next time you wonder why nothing is changing, tell yourself, I am building roots. And if you keep watering, keep showing up, keep practicing those small disciplines, your bamboo moment will come. And when it does, it will come fast, it will come strong, it will come overwhelmingly, but only to those who stayed the course. Now let's arrive at the heart of this whole conversation. If you've been listening closely, you may have noticed something. Everything we've discussed, small errors, small disciplines, invisible growth, the compound effect, they all point back to one central truth. And that truth is this. Your life is shaped first and foremost by your philosophy, not your motivation, not your goals, not your feelings, not your intentions, your philosophy. Because your philosophy determines your attitude. Your attitude determines your actions. Your actions determine your results. And your results determine your lifestyle. Most people try to change their lifestyle without ever changing their philosophy. They want a better body with the same old thinking. They want more money with the same old habits. They want a better marriage with the same old mindset. They want a new life built with the same blueprint that created the old one. And that, my friends, is why so many people feel stuck. Let me give it to you straight. You cannot build a new life with an old philosophy. It's like planting corn and expecting wheat. It doesn't work that way. So if you want to become consistent, truly consistent, you must start where everything begins. You must rewrite the thinking that has been quietly guiding your behavior for years. Because inconsistency is not a behavior problem. It is a philosophy problem. Let me show you what I mean. If your philosophy says one day won't matter, then you'll skip disciplines whenever you feel tired, because your philosophy has given you permission to surrender. If your philosophy says I'll start tomorrow, then tomorrow becomes your escape route from responsibility. And you'll walk that escape route every time things get inconvenient. If your philosophy says, I want success fast, then the moment progress slows down, you give up. Not because you can't succeed, but because your philosophy cannot handle the pace of real growth. But now imagine a new philosophy. A philosophy that says, every choice matters. A philosophy that says, I'm responsible. A philosophy that says, the roots always come before the fruits. A philosophy that says, I don't need motivation, I need discipline. A philosophy that says, I don't wait for opportunities, I prepare for them. With a philosophy like that, consistency becomes natural, almost automatic, because you no longer see your actions as chores, you see them as investments. And here's the beautiful part. When you change your philosophy, your behavior changes even before results show up. You suddenly wake up with a different posture. You approach your day with a different energy. You speak differently. You think differently. You treat your time differently. And over time, you treat yourself differently because discipline has become part of your identity. Now let me give you three simple questions that can rewrite your entire philosophy if you answer them honestly. Question 1. What must I believe about myself in order to behave consistently? You might say, I must believe I am capable. I must believe I am worthy. I must believe my effort matters. Good. That's the beginning. Question 2. What beliefs are keeping me inconsistent? Maybe you believe you're too old. Maybe you believe you're too late. Maybe you believe you've failed too often. Maybe you believe discipline is impossible for you. These beliefs must be exposed and replaced. They are the termites in the wood of your future. Question 3. What 3 philosophies must become non-negotiable? Maybe I complete what I start. I honor my word to myself. I never miss twice. Whatever your 3 are, they must become the foundation of your behavior. Not slogans, not wishes, beliefs you live by. Because once you fix the philosophy, the discipline follows. Once the philosophy changes, consistency becomes easier, even natural. And once consistency becomes natural, your lifestyle begins to change on its own. Remember, philosophy is the seed. Consistency is the water. Success is the harvest. Plant the right seed. Water it with discipline and watch what grows. Now, let's turn our attention to something very practical, something you can begin using today, before the day is over. Because it's one thing to understand consistency, to understand the philosophy, the compound effect, the bamboo story. But now the question becomes, how do you live this out on the days when you're tired? On the days when you're busy? On the days when motivation is nowhere to be found? And the answer, my friends, is simple. Don't trust your emotions. Trust your disciplines. Let me say that again. Don't trust your emotions. Trust your disciplines. If you rely on how you feel, you'll only be consistent on good days. If you rely on habits, routines, and systems, you'll be consistent on all days. So I want to give you what I call the daily system, a simple 4-part structure that can turn even the most inconsistent person into someone remarkably disciplined simply by giving your life a rhythm that supports growth rather than undermines it. Let's begin with the first element. 1. The daily walk physical discipline. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is movement. You don't need a fancy gym. You don't need 2 hours a day. Just walk. 15 minutes. 20 minutes. Move your body. Here's why. Movement builds momentum. It wakes up your energy. It strengthens your will. It teaches your body to obey your decisions instead of dictating them. Remember this. If you don't run your body will run you. And your body has no interest in discipline, only comfort. A daily walk is not about fitness. It's about leadership, leading yourself. 2. The daily reading mind discipline. Next, you must feed your mind. 30 minutes a day with a good book can change the trajectory of your entire life. Because ideas are like seeds. Some will give you new skills. Some will give you new perspectives. Some will give you new opportunities. And a single good idea can replace years of confusion. You don't need to read a book a day. Just read every day. A chapter, a few pages, 10 minutes. Because here is the truth. Your income, your influence, your confidence, they will rarely grow faster than you do. What you put into your mind today becomes your decisions tomorrow. 3. The daily savings financial discipline. Now let's talk money. And this may surprise you, but discipline with money is less about the amount and more about the habit. Pay yourself first, even if it's $1, even if it's a coin in a jar. Because every time you save even a tiny amount, you are rewiring your philosophy. You're teaching yourself to value your future over your impulse. Most people say, I'll save when I make more. But remember this, if you won't save $1 on a small income, you won't save 100 on a larger one. It's not the money, it's the mindset. So start today. Start small, but start. 4, the daily connection, relationship discipline. And finally, the heart of life, relationships. A small gesture every day can transform your family, your friendships, your marriage, a text, a thank you, a moment of appreciation, a short conversation. 15 minutes of presence can repair what years of neglect have damaged. Remember this, relationships don't die in a day, they die in small moments of neglect. And they grow in small moments of attention. So reach out every day intentionally, because success is empty if you have no one to enjoy it with. Now, let me give you one of the most important rules in the entire system. If you remember nothing else from tonight, remember this, the don't miss twice rule. You can miss a day, that's life. You can fall off once, that's normal, but don't miss 2 days. Missing once is a mistake. Missing twice becomes a pattern, and patterns shape your life. If you slip today, start again tomorrow. Immediately. Right back on track. No guilt, no drama, no delay. Discipline is not perfection. Discipline is returning, tracking the effort, not the results. Now, let me give you one final tool, the tool that saved me when nothing seemed to be working. I started keeping a journal. Not to record results, but to record effort. At the end of each day, I ask myself 4 simple questions. Did I walk? Did I read? Did I save? Did I connect? Check, 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 check. Some days my bank account didn't change. Some days my body didn't change. Some days my life seemed the same. But my journal told the truth. I was watering the bamboo. I was building the roots. I was honoring my philosophy. That's what consistency looks like. Not flashy, not dramatic, but powerful because it reshapes your identity and reorganizes your future. And if you follow this daily system, if you lead your body, feed your mind, grow your wealth, and nurture your relationships, you won't have to chase success. Success will begin chasing you. Now, as we come to the close of our time together, I want to leave you with the simplest idea of all, yet perhaps the most important one you will ever learn about success, consistency, and the future you are building. And it is this, your future is being shaped right now, not next week, not next month, not when conditions improve or when life gets easier. Right now. What you do today matters more than you can imagine. Your philosophy, your attitude, your daily disciplines, they're forming the blueprint for the life you'll be living 5 years from now. And whether that life becomes something you cherish or something you regret, that decision is being made today in the quiet choices you make when no one's watching. Let me tell you, consistency isn't about talent. It's not about luck. It's not about being born with some special gift. Consistency is about making one small decision and honoring it. It's about choosing principle over impulse. It's about saying, I will do what I said I would do, long after the emotion has left. And here's the real truth most people never fully accept. Success doesn't begin when the results show up. Success begins the moment you decide to take total responsibility for your life. Not partial responsibility, not conditional responsibility, total responsibility. The moment you stop waiting for a perfect day, a perfect situation, a perfect season, and you decide no matter what, I'll begin today. that's the moment everything changes. You don't need a new year. You don't need a new plan. You don't need a new burst of motivation. You need a new philosophy, a new standard, a new decision. And if tonight you've gained a new understanding of the small errors, the small disciplines, the invisible transformation, the compound effect, the bamboo tree, the daily system, then you're standing right at the edge of a new life, a better life, a stronger life. All that remains is the decision. A decision to pick one discipline, just one, and begin today. A decision to practice it tomorrow. A decision to miss if you must, but never twice. A decision to water your bamboo until the roots are strong enough to carry the future you're building. Because once you start living this way, once you start honoring these small disciplines, you will create a momentum you did not know you were capable of. Life begins to open. Opportunities begin to appear. Your confidence rises. Your energy rises. Your results rise. And the best part, you become someone new, someone disciplined, someone dependable, someone consistent, someone capable of attracting the life they dream of because they've become the kind of person who can handle it. My friends, success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by the person you become. And tonight, if you choose to begin, even in the smallest of ways, you have already begun becoming